So when I first started doing handyman work, I thought the awkward bit would be the work itself, drilling, fixing old walls, etc. But jobs where nothing is quite square, nothing is quite level, and the customer says, should only be a quick one. But that wasn't what caught me out. What caught me out was a bit before the work, the pricing and the quoting. The moment where someone looks at you in their hallway or their kitchen or out on the driveway and says, so, how much is that going to be then? And for a while I hated that question. Not because I didn't want to charge, and not because I thought the work should be free, but because I didn't know how to say the number properly. I remember one of the early jobs where this really stood out. It was just a normal small handyman job. I think it was a shelf in the utility room, a loose gate latch, and a mirror they wanted hanging in my hallway. It wasn't anything dramatic or overly exciting, just a few bits that had been sitting on my to-do list for months. The customer showed me around, we had a quick chat. I looked at the job and I thought, yeah, I can do all that, no problem. And then they asked a question that I'd never seemed prepared for, even though I knew what to expect. So, how much would that be then? And instead of giving a number, I started wobbling. Now, not obviously, I didn't freeze completely, but inside I was doing all the sums at once. How long will the shelf take? What if the wall is awkward? What if the gate's dropped more than it looks? What if the mirror's heavier than I think? What if I say too much? What if I say too little? And because of all that was going on in my head, what came out of my mouth was a bit of a mess. Yeah, it sort of depends. Or I need to check a few bits, or it might be an hour, it might be more, or I can probably send you something over later. Now the customer was normally polite, they nodded, they said that was fine. But the moment changed. Before that it felt quite simple. They had a few jobs, I was there, I could do them. Then suddenly it felt a bit vague, like neither of us quite knew what was happening next. So I went back to the van afterwards, sat there trying to work out a perfect price. Now, trying not to overcharge, trying not to undercharge, trying to guess what they expected. And the longer I thought about it, the bigger the whole thing felt to me. By the time I sent the quote later, the job had lost a bit of momentum. Now, I'm not saying I lost every job, I was quite lucky I didn't, but I definitely made some of them harder than they needed to be. And looking back, the customer hadn't done anything wrong. They hadn't been awkward, they hadn't tried to knock me down on the price, they'd just asked a normal question. I had made it awkward because I wasn't comfortable answering it, and that was the first thing I had to realise. A lot of the time I wasn't delaying because the job needed proper written quotes. 90% or more probably of my jobs don't. I was delaying because I didn't want to say 80 quid out loud, and that was a problem. And once I saw that, pricing started to feel a bit different. Because the customer's not trying to catch you out, most of the time they just want to know what it's going to cost to get their job done. And then they can decide, that's it. They're not asking for a speech, they're not asking you to justify every penny, they're asking you for a number, and small jobs can make this worse. With a bigger job, everyone expects you to go away, measure up, check materials, come back with proper quotes. But with small jobs, like what make up probably the majority of a handyman's work, you feel like you should know instantly. It's only a shelf or a mirror or gate latch, it's really simple stuff, but that pressure is what makes you wobble. Small jobs are not always small. A customer might say, it should only be a quick one, but quick for them means they can describe it quickly to you. It does not mean it's a quick job to do properly. You still have to get there, get out your tools, check the wall, move things out of the way, fit it properly, tidy up afterwards, and deal with whatever awkward little surprises might be hiding behind it. And that's where I used to go wrong. The price, I price a nice version of a job, the version where everything goes easy, the wall is good, the fixings work, the customer knows exactly where they want it. Nothing moves, nothing crumbles, nothing takes longer than expected. But that's rarely the case. That's not always the job you get. A blind might be simple in theory, it's usually just a handful of screws and checking its level, unless the brackets are awkward. Or the curtain pole might be simple, same as above really, unless it's going to be in a bay window, which the client neglected to mention. A shelf might be simple, unless it's going in a hollow wall with a radiator, questionable wiring hiding behind the wall, and to top it off, the customer wants to put something heavy on it. And a gate latch might be simple, unless the post has moved, the gate has dropped, and nothing lines up anymore. And that's why you need to price the real job, not the imaginary easy one. The line would have saved me a lot of bother at the start. Price the real job, not the imaginary easy one. The way I handle it now is much simpler. First, I look at it properly, not a quick glance, properly. What actually needs doing? What's being fitted, fixed, moved, cut, hung, adjusted or repaired? Then I picture myself doing it, step by step. What tools will I need? What fixings might I need? What could be awkward? Is it easy access? Will I need to move furniture? Is there travel time involved? Will I need materials? Is there likely to be a big clear up after? Then I add a sensible buffer, not a silly one, not a let's see what I can get away with buffer, but just a real life buffer. because there is nearly always something. If you do not allow for that something, you normally end up getting annoyed on a job. You start thinking, I should have charged more than this. And once that thought appears, the whole job will feel different. You'll rush it, you'll resent it, you'll leave feeling like you worked hard but did not earn properly. And that's not good for you. It's not good for the customer either. So the method is simple. Look properly, picture a job, allow for the awkward bits, then give a number. Not with a big speech, not with an apology, just a normal answer to a normal question. Something like, for that, I'll be looking around 80 quid. Or, to do it properly, I'll be looking at 120. Or, if everything as it looks, that'd be £90. That sort of wording helps me because it's straight, it's not pushy. It doesn't sound like you're begging for a job, and it does not sound like you're embarrassed by the price you're giving. It's just a number. Then you just need to stop talking. And that was a bit I had to learn. Say the number, then shut up. Because when you're uncomfortable with price, you want to fill the silence. You want to say, for that, I'll be looking at around £80. And then straight away you'd start defending it. Well, obviously I've got to allow for more travel, or there might be a bit of fiddling around, or I've got insurance and I need to cover the time, and I know it sounds a lot for a small job, but blah, blah, blah. You don't need to do all that. If a customer asks what's included, tell them, explain it to them. That's fine. You can say that includes fitting it properly, fix things, tidy it up, and make sure everything is secure before I leave. It's useful, simple, and there's no drama. But don't say the price you're asking for like you're asking permission. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. I would almost apologise before I'd even give them a number. And that makes the whole thing feel a bit odd. You're not asking a customer if you're allowed to charge, you're telling them what it costs for you to do it properly, and that's a big difference. Now, some jobs need more thought, of course. You don't want to guess and look like you know everything. That can get you in trouble as well. If there are too many unknowns, I'd say, well, I'd rather not guess, I'll give you the wrong number, let me check properly and come back to you later with a fixed price. Now that works because you're still being straight, you're not dithering, you're not avoiding a question, you're just saying, I want to price this properly for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. The trick is knowing the difference. If it's a normal job you've seen before, price it. If it genuinely needs checking, then say that. But don't just stand there talking to yourself and talking yourself out of a job. And don't hide behind, I'll email you later, just because the number feels uncomfortable for you to say. You'll get some quotes wrong at the start. I did, everyone does. You'll underprice something that turns into a pain. You'll quote a job thinking it's simple and then spend twice as long as you expected. You'll finish, get back to it and think, shit, I should have charged more for that job. That's normal. That's all part of the learning. The aim is not to get to a perfect number every time. The aim is to get better every time. And after you've fitted the same blind or same style of blind a few times, you know what it takes. After you've put up enough curtain poles, you'll know which ones are straightforward and which of the cheap ones are going to be nasty and fiddly. After you've hung enough mirrors, shelves, pictures, TVs, gates, brackets, you'll start to build a price list in your head. Not a complicated system, just experience. You start to know what the job feels like, and once that happens, the how much question starts to feel like a trap. It becomes part of a conversation. They ask, you look, you think, you say a number, they decide. That's much better than dancing around it. And that is what I wish I'd understood earlier. Pricing's not about being expensive, it's not about being cheap. It's about being straightforward, and a good customer does not need you to be the cheapest. They need you to turn up. They need you to say what something costs. They need you to do what you said you were going to do, and they need the job done properly. And that matters a lot more than people think. And that is what I'll talk to you about in the next video, because trying to be cheapest is a trap. Being reliable is what actually builds a business. But for now, if you struggle with that moment where the customer says, so how much? Just keep it simple, have a proper look, picture a real job, allow for the awkward bits, and say the number like it's normal. Stop talking, because most of the awkwardness is not coming from a customer, it's coming from you, feeling like you have to be justified to be paid, and you don't. You're there to do a job properly, and the price is part of that. Now, I just want to thank everyone who's been in touch with questions. It's great, as it's going to help me plan what videos I create for you in the future. Now, I'm also working on a system that I created myself first, but I've been speaking with other handyman and trades, and it's obvious it could help others run and grow their businesses. Now, if the system helps run a business, I'll pop a link in the description below, so you can kind of keep an eye on it if you want, sign up to updates and things, and be informed when things are ready to go. And you can take a look and see if it might be of interest to you. But until next time, take care, and I'll see you then.